Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's chapter 73 of Rapid Fate Online, and this one is titled The Most Feared Isle. Dare I ask what you two got up to after you left the wedding yesterday? Your best friend asked with wiggled eyebrows. Our honeymoon place is amazing, you said suddenly, remembering the location. Oh, we found a heap of mahi in the ocean. What? Where? Level 36, in a shipwreck. It was guarded by an eel, but Butterfly fought it off, and then a shark came, but that's beside the point. But there was a hell of a lot of mahi in there. That's sus. She narrowed her eyes with suspicion. What? Why is that sus? You asked. A shipwreck, did you say? Was there an emblem on this ship? She asked. I didn't look, to be honest, you admitted. Check if there's an emblem, because I remember reading something in the forums about a slave ship going missing. Really? What was the story behind the slave ship? You asked. New players were promised an easy way to level up and then were forcefully slave contracted and forced to move illegal goods and stuff. A few lost everything when the ship went down. It's true that they had leveled up quickly under the slave contract, even though that's not really what they had wanted to sign up for. But for those who didn't lose everything, they managed to jump into the water and swim away before the ship sunk completely. Who are the bastards who did the enslaving? You asked, pissed off on behalf of those who were tricked into the contract. I can't remember the name, but check the forums. It'll be there, she said. Your eyes were drawn to the front of the classroom as the teacher entered, so you quickly wrapped up the conversation with her and sat down. Yeah, okay, I'll check it out, you replied before she hastily found her seat. For the rest of that day, your mind switched between being excitedly nervous about that night's happenings with Tamaki and being somewhat concerned about this shipwreck incident. Those who lost everything should be given the mahi, you thought, and then Butterfly needs to kick the asses of those who initially enslaved them. The final bell rang, and you were at your locker, packed and ready to go within a second. You strolled around to Tamaki's locker and grinned at him. You didn't even need to say anything, he knew exactly why you were grinning. Making small talk, you both left the school building and headed out of the gates and then off down the road, and Tamaki looked around nervously before leaning into you a little. Yin, I haven't bought any, That's okay, we can get some from the shops on the way home, you said with a smile. I'm really happy you're with me, you're so confident, he said with a soft smile at you. You're confident too, Tamaki. Well, in-game, you just need to channel your inner butterfly. I know you have it in you, you encouraged. He thought for a second, hanging his head and tucking his hands further into his pockets. I'll try. That's the spirit. I'm right here with you too, okay? You won't need to worry about a thing. You beamed at him to give him the most visibly comforting support you could muster. He nodded again, and you both walked up to the doors of the medium-sized shop on the corner of the streets that connected at the end. Leading the way in, you took him straight to the cosmetics and other toiletry supplies section and looked around for the condoms. Okay, all we need is a packet of regular ones, you said softly to him. There's no need for anything fancy, and plus, I think they'll be the cheapest ones. He nodded and followed you down the aisle. You slowed as you got closer to the condom section. Okay, you said, and looked to your side to where he had been walking. He wasn't there anymore, and you stopped and turned around to see where he'd gone. Tamaki was face first up against the shampoo bottles, and you chuckled a little and shook your head as you walked over to him and took his arm, dragging him with you to the condom section. This one, you said, pointing to a regular box. He reached a shaky hand out and picked it up, and at the same time a small sprout popped up on the back of his hand and you giggled. I'm sorry, he whispered in a wobbly voice. I'm so nervous. You're doing amazingly, you said brightly, and his body relaxed a tad. Am I? He asked, giving you a little glance. You grinned happily, pulling him by the hand from the condom section and pulled him back to the checkout aisle. Last obstacle, you stated happily, walking up beside the conveyor belt. Just this, you said to the lady behind the cash register. She took it from Tamaki's outstretched hand and scanned it. Poor shy boy had his head down, ears pink with embarrassment as he quickly pushed his hands into his pockets again. You smiled at her and paid, then took the packet and strolled out with him following closely behind you. How did you make that look so easy? He asked in awe as he came up beside you again. Just don't think about it, you shrugged, turning and half unzipping his backpack so that you could slip the packet inside, then continue on down the road. Tamaki smiled softly at your side profile, then looked ahead. I have to be more confident to prove to Yin I can do this. You're so amazing, and I'm just being left behind. I can't fail her. He adjusted the backpack on his shoulders and smiled softly again to himself. Once at his house, he entered and called out to see if anyone was home. All was silent and you smiled. It's not that I'm happy that no one's home, but I'm happy no one's home. You chuckled, tension building between your thighs as you started to anticipate what was about to come. Tamaki led you up the hallway to his room and you walked in. This is such a cute room, you said, looking around. Thank you, he said softly, closing his door behind the two of you and locking it. Your doors lock? You gasped with surprise. That's so cool. Mine don't, so I need to block it with a chair. I wouldn't want anyone walking in, Tamaki said softly with a blush. Neither, you smiled, walking over to his bed and sitting down. He stood there for a second, a little lost, until you jerked your head towards the bed. Come and give me a cuddle, you said invitingly, opening your arms out for him to walk into. He walked over and stood in front of you, and you hugged him around the legs and looked up into his eyes as he smiled gently down at you and placed a hand on your head. And there ends Chapter 73. Stay tuned for Chapter 74.